post out to all the presenters so you can see what's coming up. So if you are doing a fortnightly show, you'll be able to see straight away whether it's your week or not.
Because look, things are moving so fast now. I know I was complaining things were moving slow before, but things are now moving so fast. I'm like, has it been 2 weeks?
Not yet. Nearly. A week and a half. So, Angie, for tonight's show, what is your theme or topic for the audio file?
Samhain. Hello?
So, yeah, I'm just spelling it out.
Samhain.
Just Samhain. Yes, just Samhain.
Yep.
Yep.
Sweet
Right.
and simple. Just like me.
That's how we like it. Are you ready?
I am ready.
Right, I'll do the countdown, press the start button, and then it's over to you.
Cool.
1, 3, 2, 1.
Hello, one and all. So whether you're on the live or listening back or on YouTube, wherever you are, hello. So my favourite, well, one of them, my almost favourite, sort of favourite time of the year, Samhain. Ooh, yes. Some know it as Halloween, but I'm going to get into that in a bit, near the end actually. So Samhain, what is it? It is a fire festival, but it's also very earthy, and you'll understand why as we go through. So Samhain, the word, I think, let me just quickly scoot back in my book. Irish Gaelic origins, possibly, because who actually knows for sure? But it means summer end. So we've had the two harvests, Lughnasadh and the autumn equinox, which is the second harvest, and then we have the third harvest, which is Samhain, Samhain, depending how you want to pronounce it. Just don't pronounce it Samhain, please. I'm a bit of a snob when it comes to pronouncing these words. Anyway, so for our ancestors, living off the land, this would have been the last chance to harvest what you would need to see you through the winter. So very important time. Very important, crucial, almost life and death, you could say. So energetically, so from a magical perspective, because everything is magic, we know that, you should know that by now. This is a time of supernatural power. Why? Because the veil is, I would say, pretty much non-existent at this point. And there are some that say that it actually begins like a week or so before Samhain, which is interesting because in August, I think, because I looked it up the other day in my tarot group, I think it's the 20th of August, there is a recognition of the underworld lighting up. In preparation for this journey that we're about to undertake at Samhain. Samhain. So the veil being pretty much non-existent. Beltane is the other time. That's the opposite side of Samhain. And also for me, the solstices, because there's an entering into and out of the underworld during those times as well. So for me, that means that the veil would be thin then as well. Maybe not as thin as that Samhain, because and Beltane, because we'll get into that in a little bit, but there are certain things that happen energetically at this time that our ancestors would have been extraordinarily aware of. So in a sense, all are here, all are abroad, roaming this realm. And when I say all, I mean all. us being spirits in a physical vessel, but also spirits that are not in the physical vessel, if you get my drift. So our ancient ancestors had a knowing. They knew that this was true for them, and that would have been in their experiences. Because let's face it would have been a very different world back then, wouldn't it? Very different. They would have been so much more connected to the land and everything that's going on, around them. Yeah. So, now, I think there are certain places that you could go to on this particular island that we're on, yeah, where, in the dark, you can't see your hand in front of your face. Yeah. Our local marshes is one of those places. You literally, when it's dark, you cannot see your hand in front of your face. And it's not exactly remote. Yeah. It's quite built up all around. But when you're in the middle of the marshes, it's very dark. But there aren't many places like that, I would suggest. So, put yourself in that position. Yeah. Put yourself back there where they were. But I think now there is such a disconnect from, the natural world, if you like, nature, and, what it feels like to not be in these square brick boxes. Yeah. With your, I'm not dissing these things because we got heating, we got a cooker and we got a, kettle and, flashing toilets and all that stuff. It's great. But that's a disconnect, isn't it? And I know, and we haven't been camping for the past couple of years for, reasons that I'm not going to go into. But when you're camping, you are very aware of nature. Yeah. And it's amazing. Yeah. It's like you feel alive again, you could say. Yeah. So yeah, this disconnect. And I mean, the other thing that kind of feeds into that disconnect is that we're not taught any of this stuff. I would say, I grew up in the 70s, I was a small child in the 70s. No, none of my family around me knew any of this stuff. Or if they did, they kept it secret. Yeah. So secret that from my perspective, they didn't know anything about this stuff. do you get me? They certainly didn't walk, as far as I know, they didn't walk in those kind of magical circles. So, but what I would say about that is never too late to learn this stuff. Yeah. If you have a yearning to know what these things actually mean, then yeah. I mean, these days I'll probably say books are good, or trusted sources like Ronald Hutton, for example. Trusted sources, don't ask ChatGPT about this shit. So Samhain, what is Samhain? From our perspective, it's a still point. Yeah. Why is it a still point? The 0 point or the void. Yeah. It is a void space. Now, why do I say that? Well, what they would have done, so cast your mind back. Yeah. Cast your being back to those times. What would have been one of the most important things? Yeah. Fire. Yeah. Fire is warmth, light, protection, cooks your food, makes your cup of tea. There's many reasons for fire being so very important to our ancestors. So at Samhain, all the hearth fires. Oh, am I still there? Okay, yes. All the hearth fires were extinguished. So can you imagine how dark that would have been? All the fires in villages or however they lived, yeah, all the fires were put out. So in the home, if there were any outside the home, all put out. Can you imagine how dark that would have been? Can you imagine the atmosphere of that? Wow. So all fires, every fire was extinguished, yeah. But then each one was relit from the one big fire. Some call it a bonfire, which you could say is a bone fire. Yeah, it's quite appropriate for this kind of spirit wandering around. Some actually would say it's called a bale fire, which is interesting. So this extinguishing of all fires, for me, when we were kind of researching this today, there's multiple layers of symbols in here. So there's the symbology of sacrifice, yeah. So fire is your protection, your warmth. When you extinguish that, that's a sacrifice right there, yeah. There's also the symbology of moving from darkness to light. Yeah, interesting. Especially as you've got in August the lighting up of the underworld. Yeah, interesting. And this movement from darkness to light, this is why we see this as our new year, the witch's new year, or the pagan new year, because it represents a new beginning. This is, in tarot, this would be the death card. It's an ending and a beginning. Yeah. Interesting. And you could also, I'm going to put it out there, that this was a sacrifice of self, of the light, your inner light, yeah, to then be reignited by the one light, the bonfire, the bone fire, the bale fire, yeah. Aha. So I'm putting it out there. This is a spiritual rebirth, is it not? Also, on a slightly darker leaning, it may have meant that without the warmth and the protection of fire, some may have not made it through this period where all fires were extinguished. You know, you can't dodge that. That would have been a thing, I suggest. So essentially, you know, what that tells us, that reinforces we are the light in the dark. Yeah. This is the energy of cosmic renewal. Yeah. And I like that. Because I know I didn't look up the Celtic star law for Samhain. Let me just have a quick look. Is there any spirit? No. Bear with me 1 second. Wild Hunt. I'll get onto that in a minute. Celtic star law. So this is to do with Orion, the hunter god. Makes sense because I'm going to talk about the Wild Hunt in a little while. Orion is a far larger constellation than Ursa Major and Minor in the north. So he, there is actually, I think it's in that book that I just read from, he guides you. Orion actually lights the way. Ian, what are you doing? Orion actually lights the way through the underworld. So we have this idea again of lighting up the underworld. Yeah, I like that. Now, you could also see this, the way I'm seeing this as well, is this is a very Discordia or Iris energy. This idea of the light coming from the void, or a projection coming out of the void. Yeah. So this is very the creative order from disorder. Yeah. From the dark where, you know, you could say that there's a disorder in there somewhere, yeah, because it, you know, although I don't think our ancestors were scared of spirits, you know, the dead walking around, because they it was right in front of them all the time. Yeah, it wasn't sanitized like it is these days. But they certainly would have respected spirits walking about. And again, I'll get onto that in a little bit. So yeah, I'm definitely seeing this as a very Discordia Eris energy, creative order from disorder. You know, because when you think of the dark, it would have been pitch. You know, dark is dark. And what's also interesting, so if the whole village is dark, then that's a great leveler, is it not? You know, from the chief to the you know, the most poorest person in the village, if there were such things back then, I don't know. It's going to level the playing field, isn't it? Really, you know, all were equal in the dark. So again, is leveling things out. Yeah, that's very interesting. It's like there's the ending, and then the projection that comes out of that with the light. I like it. So this was a massive liminal time. Huge. Yeah. When you think that spirits walk abroad, free, humongous liminal time. Threshold magic. Yeah. Which is why we see different rituals, you know, even in what people call Halloween now, which kind of are remnants of that threshold magic. But again, I'm going to talk about that later. I've got left you little hooks there. So it is said on this night, and Beltane is the same, yeah, that there are different deities that ride out, gathering up all the lost souls. This is known as the Wild Hunt. So the two deities that I know that do this are, Odin and Arwen, or his other name is Gwyn ap Nud. And I've probably said that completely wrong, but there we go. It's a Welsh word. I don't speak Welsh. So they are the two gods that I know who have that association with the Wild Hunt. So the idea is they ride out on their horses with their dogs, and they literally gather up any lost souls on Beltane and Samhain. Yeah. There is also, years ago, I did a meditation. I think, again, it's from this book. It's called The Magical Year by Danu Forrest. It's a beautiful book with meditations and star law and all sorts of amazing stuff, where you actually meet the, again, I can't say this word. It's a Scottish word. Some people pronounce it Cailleach. Some people pronounce it the Cailleach. That sounds a bit clunky to me. I don't like that. So the Cailleach, she is of the winter. She's a winter deity. Yeah. And some say she wails like a banshee at Samhain. I don't know. Let me know if you've ever heard her wailing at you on Samhain nights. But from those three examples, you can kind of see why our ancestors were, like I say, I don't think they were fearful. I think they honoured and respected the dead. Yeah. That's not to say they weren't wary of what you might call malevolent spirits, but we'll get into that in a minute. But you can see why they were, why they had this reverence for their ancestors. Yeah. This time of the year. And they did. They went to great lengths to appease any wandering spirits. And like I say, some people say they were terrified of these spirits. I really don't think so, because, they were faced with death in a very non-sanitized way. Yeah. So they kind of faced it head on. So I don't actually believe that they were fearful of their ancestors that had passed. They paid them great reverence. So some of the ways that they would pay reverence, offerings are, kind of a bog standard way to honor anything, whether it's deity, spirit guides, whatever entity that you are conversing with. Yeah. So one of the things, and we did actually make these quite a few years ago now, actually, soul cakes. So when I made them, they're a bit like just pastry, but they have a cross, an indent of a cross. Yeah. What does that sound like to you? Hot cross buns. Interesting, isn't it? I'm going to get onto that in a little bit as well. So an itchy nose. Threshold offerings. So we do this. We do it in bulk, and I have been known to do it at Samhain. I'm going to do it this year. Is you leave bread and milk at the threshold. You can leave other things as well. I might even leave some rosemary there. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Rosemary is really good for Samhain because it's remembrance. Yeah, it embodies the energy of remembrance. So, and if you do want to stop the naughty spirits from coming in your home, you could put salt is amazing on your threshold. Or what's the other herb that you could use for something very smelly? So something like asafoetida. Yeah. Very stinky. And you can even mix it with salt. And and you've got like a supreme barrier there for any naughty spirits that you don't want in your home. They would also light candles and put them in the windows. So like a vigil, really. Yeah. And that was to kind of guide the spirits. And you can imagine, can't you? All these beautiful roundhouses. I don't know. Whatever they lived in back then. Yeah. With a little light at the front door or at the window. Yeah, a whole passage, lighting the way to wherever they were going. Possibly a mound, a burial mound, or a cave. Who knows? Pardon me. They even did. Now, I'd kind of heard this somewhere. We have actually done this before. We've set a place. That's probably where I heard of it, actually. It's called a dumb supper. Dumb as in, for me, it's something that doesn't necessarily speak. Yeah, not dumb as in duh. So on the Feast of Hecate, which is just before Imbolc, we set a place with food for Hecate. So, we've done that, and that's been quite a few years we've been doing that now. But I like the idea of, honouring those who have passed by inviting them to your table. to eat. Whether that's actually they consume the food, or energetically they just take on the energy of the food. Doesn't matter, does it? But it's an honouring of those who've passed. So this Samhain, our honoured guest will be Murphy. Bless his woofy heart. So there was definitely an integration of this death experience. Yeah. It was part of their being. It was part of their lives. Yeah. It wasn't separate like it is now. Yeah, I don't even know what to call what it is now. It's a money-making exercise, I would suggest. And they honoured this time, yeah. One of the other things that would happen, and I quite like this, I ran out of time. I didn't find anything. Well, I sort of did to... yeah, the masks is definitely a thing. So it is said that adults would wander the streets. Whether this was still in the dark or not, I'm not sure. I think they would do that in the dark, in the time scale where it was dark, yeah, before the maybe while the bonfire was lit, because that'd be quite nice and a bit spooky. So yeah, adults would wander around with masks on, and when I say masks on, yeah, they would either there was a thing in this book actually about masking one's face. So they would do that in all types of different ways, whether that was putting actually something on the face, whatever that might be. It might have even been woad, who knows. But they also made masks out of things like straw and maybe even clay, because they would have had that at their disposal as well, yeah. And what they would do is they would wander around singing songs or reciting stories. So this would have been stories of the wild hunt, or stories of wandering spirits, or stories of the Kalish, yeah? And this was also to provide almost like tricking malevolent spirits, yeah, that might be stopping your ancestors to have passed from going to Summerlands, yeah, or Shangri-La. So if a malevolent spirit was trying to block one of your ancestors from, passing over the bridge to Summerlands, you could confuse these naughty spirits by pretending to be a naughty spirit and kind of, trick them, which I think is so. It's like protection by confusion, which I quite like. That's very cool. It's very clever, actually. And like all rituals, this pretending or embodying spirit would definitely, again, like all ritual, so all ritual can induce an altered state of consciousness. So why would they be doing that? Well, this is a liminal time. This is a portal, essentially. Yeah, this is moving from dark into the light. So, I mean, it's going to be quite a magical time anyway, but, by, if you like, acting the part of spirit, yeah, you're going to alter your state of consciousness. And also the community. This would have been everyone was involved in this, yeah. So, okay, so what do we have so far? We have extinguishing the fire, the hearth fires, the light, which is the sacrifice. And I think during that time where it was dark, people would gather around the bone fire or the bale fire. I think they would have performed these enactments during that space of time. Because that would have been, quite cool, I think. It would have been very cool. Atmospheric is probably a better way to describe it. It's really cool. Then once the hearth fires were relit from the bone fire, you would then light the threshold warding lights. You'd place anything else on the threshold if you didn't want naughty spirits coming in your home. You'd put other things there as well. You might light the candles in the windows, or at the threshold. And then you would set the table, for the dumb supper. Now, I don't remember supper. We had breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Ian remembers breakfast, lunch, tea, and supper. So supper is like a mid-evening, so 9 o'clock-ish kind of meal. And it wasn't a big meal. It was like, the kind of dinner that we have now was split into two, and you'd have tea and supper. So this idea that it was a big feast, I don't think it would have been. It's not to say it couldn't have been. But the idea of it being a supper definitely implies, a smaller meal. Not that it wouldn't be lavish, but because if they, this is a very special time in the cycle of the year, So, they've done all the harvesting. So if this is the energy of rebirth, then that's a celebration, is it not? So you would want to, it might have even been a collective, feast, for want of a better word. Possibly. Who knows? So one of the things that people, and they do this now, putting lights outside the threshold, jack-o'-lanterns. Now, I don't know if you guys know this, and if you Google it, you will see what the old jack-o'-lanterns actually looked like. They look quite scary. A lot more scary than the ones that people carve now out of pumpkins, because they used to be carved out of turnips. Turnips, not Swedes, So Swede and turnip, very different, So first of all, where does the Jack bit come from? Well, Jack is the tale of a wandering spirit. There's a big long story that I'm not going to go into, but essentially he's carrying his own light. So the light isn't in him because he's a lost wandering spirit, but he's carrying his light in a carved turnip. Interesting. Why can't a wandering spirit keep the light inside? Why does he have to carry it? Interesting. I don't have an answer for that. It's just a, philosophical question. So I'm going to read from this book because I didn't want to write out what's already in the book, if that makes sense. This is the book Sabbats by Edane McCoy. So she says, or he says, it might be a bloke, I'm not sure. So the humble autumn gourd, known as the pumpkin, has become the most prevalent symbol of Samhain for both pagans and non-pagans, mostly due to the practice of carving them into jack-o'-lanterns. The jack-o'-lantern is at least, and I would say it's more than this, 2,000 years old, because as long as we've had any idea of something other than this mortal coil, you would have had some way of warding them or showing them the way. It makes sense. So it says the first were made in Ireland and were simple faces carved in turnips, which could be easily carried if one needed to travel during the night. Now, it is said that generally you didn't go wandering far on Samhain night because you might get mistaken for a lost soul, or you might bump into a fey mound and get spirited away to the land of the fey. I like that rhymes. And then you'd be lost forever and a day. Sorry about that. So these were designed to frighten away, naughty spirits who might have been following deceased loved ones and blocking their way into Summerlands, and also protect the living, because you don't want naughty spirits in your home. Believe me, I've had that once, and once was enough. Says today jack-o'-lanterns are still usually carved with leering faces. So if you Google the images of jack-o'-lanterns carved with turnips, they're not leering. They are very, very creepy though. Ian showed me some photos and I'm like, whoa, they are creepy. And are seen as offering protection through the dark October nights. And then it goes on. Faces, rather than the available and more abstract designs, were not chosen at random to be carved into jack-o'-lanterns. The ancient Celts considered the head to be the most sacred part of the body. And at one time, even held a cult-like veneration for it. In battle, the Celtic warriors would take the heads from their enemies and mount them on top of poles to guard their villages and encampments. From then, the head was not only seen as the centre of learning, but also the seat of the immortal soul, and therefore a repository for all knowledge. Okay, so maybe that's why a wandering lost spirit can't hold the light in itself, and it carries it in a carved pumpkin head. It's carrying its immortal soul in the head, because that's where they believed it belonged. Boom. Okay. In death, as in life, it was believed that the attributes of a person of strength and agility, such as a warrior, were able to be used as a continual protective force. I like that. That's very cool. Let's put that over there. So you can see, can't you, how this is. I'll get into that in a minute. Because I've got about nearly a page to go, and I'm all out of time. So, as pagans, witches, and occultists, where do we sit with Samhain? So, we love anything liminal. that space where the void space where all things are possible, where nothing has quite come into form yet. Love that. Love it. I'm not saying it's not challenging, but we love it. The portal between the end and the beginning. Because where does something end and something else begin? There's always a crossover. It's not hard stop in between the two, is it? Well, I don't think so anyway. I also feel, and this might be a bit controversial, but I don't care, that as this realm, as this world, as we observe it, and it becomes more kind of homogenized and plastic, and we see that in Samhain decorations, for example. People, they necessarily carve a pumpkin. They have a plastic pumpkin, you know, that has, well, it doesn't have a candle in it. Yeah. Not all people do that, but we do see that quite a lot. And just generally, you know, this homogenization and sanitization of everything is no. What it makes me want to do, which is why I wanted to do this, because you know I'm no stranger to Samhain, but I really wanted to get my teeth into this today. And I had 3 more books to go through, but I just ran out of time. But it really makes me want to dive into it even more, into these ancient rites, into these, you know, ways that our ancestors, you know, even if you just take a little, well, it's a fractal, is it not? If you take a little piece of, you know, what our ancient ancestors did, then in that little piece, like a hologram, the small bit contains the whole bit, like the bonfire, lighting each individual hearth from the big fire. Same thing, yeah, same thing. So keeping these things alive really, well, if anyone wants to listen to me chatter on, you know, I'm always willing to share what I know with people. If they're willing to listen, I'm willing to talk, and so's Ian. He can talk more than I can. So yeah, this weird over sanitization of Samhain, as well as all the other times of the year, and what I will say around. Oh no, that's a bit later. Sorry, yeah, I did get onto that bit in my notes. I don't know about you guys, but it's a bit of a paradox. It's maybe not quite a paradox, but nearly a paradox. Yeah. So Halloween now is a very sanitized version of Samhain. Yeah, it's a remnant of what our ancestors did to venerate those who had passed. Yeah, it was about honoring our ancestors. I don't see any of that in what people now call Halloween. But what is weird is there's still ritual there. Yeah, there's the jack-o'-lanterns. Some people put candles in the windows. Children dress up in masks and other garb. Yeah, and what do? They roam the streets in the dark. It's interesting, isn't it? It's weird. It's like it's kind of, it's marking the time of year on a kind of subconscious or what I termed a nature conscious level. And what do I mean by that? It's like, oh, I'm back. It's like somewhere in the depths of your being, you know what this time of year means, but it's not, you're not consciously thinking, oh yeah, so I need to, you know, I need to sort out our ancestors' altar, for example, yeah, to get it ready. So there's like something that is triggered, yeah, into doing, you know, whether it's wearing a mask or putting a jack-o'-lantern outside or lighting a candle in the window, whatever it is, yeah, there's something there that is still deep in our being, yeah. But the true meaning seems to be lost, it seems, unless you are following a pagan or a witchcraft path, or, you know, you, I don't know, practice ancestor worship, maybe. Worship, honoring, yeah. And I have to say, there's the obvious pushback against the church and its overlay of All Saints' Day and All Souls' Day. So that's the 1st and the 2nd of November, respectively, yeah. But what I find really interesting about that is that they didn't overlay it on the 31st. I wonder why. Did they recognise that it was the energy was too powerful? They couldn't actually overlay over that because what we're talking about here is the dead. Yeah, and as Ian's just reminded me through breaking news, when we were kids, we didn't have Halloween, did we? Do you know anyone who marked the 31st of October? We had bonfire night. Bonfire night was the time. Yeah, interesting. Yes, I do find it interesting how the church couldn't actually overlay their celebrations of the dead. They couldn't overlay that on the 31st. And I find that very interesting. So I have two questions that I'm going to end with, and then I'm going to pull a couple of cards if we've got time. Maybe not, because I've waffled for nearly 50 minutes already. So does Halloween honour or dishonour Samhain as our ancestors experienced it? That's the first question. Second question. So if you're watching this on YouTube, comment or, whatever. Question 2. This is to all the Halloween celebrators out there. Do you actually know what you are doing when you place threshold warding lights at the threshold? Okay. So, and just so you know, for Samhain this year, we're going to be having pumpkin soup, homemade sausage and beans, and apple tart. Apples and pomegranates this time of year. Lovely. A bit like chestnuts, sweet chestnuts, that is, not horse chestnuts. Don't eat horse chestnuts. Okay, so I'm going to throw it open. I'm going to throw it open wide if anyone has anything they want to say, contribute, or ask. Now is the time.
Right, yeah. It's getting rid of the dog. Yeah.
Was he snoring?
Yeah. Yeah, them damn bloody Christians.
Oh, damn Christians.
Usurping our traditions.
Except they couldn't quite bring themselves to do it on the 31st, could they?
No, they couldn't. No, so they have to have All Saints Day on the 1st. But they do have some kind of pre-All Saints Day celebration for the 31st, but it isn't Halloweeny in essence. It's more we want to take control, but we're gonna absorb your pagan traditions, because you all have to submit and worship the one God. That's how they went about it, and Samhain is just one of them. Many pagan festivals that the Christian Church has usurped.
Absolutely.
Just a small amount of research will open that little can of worms.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It doesn't take much to scratch that veneer off, does it?
No. And like you said, when I was a child, we never celebrated Halloween ever.
Yeah.
It just wasn't on the cards. We knew it was the 31st and it was Halloween, but I was born in a Catholic family. Most of the families that I grew up with were all Catholics. Some of them may have been Protestants, I don't know, but the vast majority, it was a Catholic primary school that I went to, so all the kids I played with were all Catholic. In that sense, some Irish families, some English families, but so yeah, we celebrated bonfire night, and Halloween wasn't even a thing, and it wasn't until we started watching as we got older American films, an American TV series, that we saw Halloween being celebrated in America in the way that we now see it today. Like with pumpkins and going around trick-or-treating, etc., etc. And that is just the bastardization by the Christian Church of a pagan festival. That's all it is. So
the first
keep the pagans on board.
Yeah, the first time I ever went trick-or-treating, I must have been 14, 15. And we watched scary movies all night and I couldn't sleep. So I was full of sugar and scared. Not a good combination.
And being Catholics, of course, the other thing that we did, other than penny for the guy on bonfire night, we also did. When it got closer to Christmas, you know, there'd be like 4 or 5 of us would go around singing carols at people's doors, literally going door to door.
Which is an echo of what they would do at Samhain, going round singing songs. Sometimes, you know, they would get like food or whatever in return. It's the same thing, isn't it? It's just an echo. Mm.
So it's that if we sort of take away that veneer of control that the Christians have placed upon humanity throughout most of the Western world, and we see it so predominantly in America, but it's also here, but not as much. It's not as strong as it used to be.
Yeah,
we're seeing that cultural shift now, where the churches are disappearing and other buildings are coming into play.
yeah.
Which is just another extension of Christianity, which most people don't realise. And
well, they're all from the same place, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. They're just one extension after the other. And so what we, for me, as I got older and wiser, and realised that this sort of control, this ideology that I was born into, was a crock. So I instinctively sort of came back to these, you know, I always thank the gods. I never thanked God.
Yeah.
Intuitively, as a child, it was just something I did. I just thanked the gods.
Well, I used to go around. So at home, I was not allowed to swear. And if I said, "Oh God," like that, I'd get a clip round the ear roll. I don't know why, because my parents were not religious, yeah. So at school, I'd be going, "Oh God, oh God, this and God that," and just because I couldn't do it at home, you know. So I was told I was blaspheming by saying, it's like, yeah, go on then, I'll be a blasphemer. Oh, blimey.
It's all celebrating Halloween. I mean, it's like anything. It's like Yuletide and the winter solstice.
Yeah.
If you try buying non-Christmas cards at Christmas that say Yuletide on it, you'll find it extremely difficult. So what I've reverted to, rather than paying £5 a card, which for the odd 1 or 2 is fine, but if you've got 15, 20 people you want to send cards to during the Yuletide period, that can get quite expensive when the £5 a card, which is some of the nice ones are.
And you know, it wasn't actually that long ago that you would still find Crimbo cards with the word Yuletide on.
Yeah.
Not that long ago.
Thinner and thinner.
Yeah.
And it's usually combined as well. It's usually Christmas and Yuletide that you'll see it on. So what I've started doing now is you can get packs of 24 winter wildlife cards with an animal on the front, like a fox or a goose or swans or a deer, blank inside, so I can write my own winter solstice Yuletide thing. And they cost like, I don't know, 30 pence. They're very cheap per card then. So yeah, I find that as a way around that sort of commercialised Christianisation of a pagan festival. And It's the same with Halloween. So it's difficult to learn the differences between the two, especially if you're reliant upon the people telling you the information are Christians in the background.
Yep. Absolutely.
So it takes quite a bit of work to try and figure it all out. But what I've realised is get back to basics, get back to the simplicity of it, and work back from that then. So, you know, and listen to people like you, listen to people that have got a bit of wisdom, a bit of knowledge, a bit of something to share. And then as you hear each person speaking, you collect that up and you add it to what you already know and you evolve it and you process it. and you carry it forward a little bit more with a bit more understanding. So yeah, it's I have an autumn orangey wreath on my front door now. So
Cool.
that went up a few weeks ago.
Lovely.
So that represents the change, the coming death, and the trees are all going orangey brown round here as well.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? It's so vibrant. And the hawthorn berries, the rose hips, it's just stunningly vibrant. It's very cool.
So, like you were saying, like you was describing earlier, you can imagine what it would like if you turn your electric, just as an experiment for an hour, go to your mains electric box and flick it off, and just turn it off, and just what would you have to do? The things that you would have to be able to see. You're obviously going to need candles. You're obviously going to want a fire if it's really cold.
Yeah.
But for an hour, not going to be a big issue. It's just see what it's like. And I do that quite frequently. I sit here and I have no lights on or anything. The only thing that's illuminating the room with the glow of the electric fire, these fake electric sort of fronts that have an orange light coming off. It's got that on the front, and that gives that sort of ambience of warm glow, and the darkness inside the house matches the darkness outside, because now it's dark for me. It's here, it's dark, and
it's outside.
Not that bright.
Yeah.
So you can get that sense. You can sort of feel that sort of darkness. So you're gonna want light bringing in. So light is very, very important, and it's like what you was talking about earlier, and the various different, the way that sort of lore sort of evolves over time, and the myths that evolve around certain traditions and things like that that we've lost without doing immense amounts of research. But
then, as an occultist, I love nothing more than rooting out what's actually underneath the overlay. What is under the overlay?
Yes. It's hidden for a reason.
Absolutely. And like I say, it's very thin. So it's a very, very thin veneer that you only have to scratch, and boom, there it is.
Yeah. But I do like the link between our ancestors and at this time of year.
Yeah.
Because it is, life is coming to an end. So summer's coming to an end. We're coming into autumn. Life is dying. We can see all the plants and the trees dying around us. And we will look, and again, this is one of the ways I remember when people say, is it the clocks go forward, go back, is I always look, when the clocks go forward, I look forward to summer. And in this time of year, I look back on summer. So the clocks go back at this time of year because I'm looking back on summer, on life, on the joys that we had walking around in the gorgeous sunlight, etc., and all the things that you can do, swimming, camping, etc., all the things that life is. And then we're coming to this part of the year where things are now starting to die, and we're starting to hibernate. We're starting to
there's a retraction and a reflection as we move into that retraction energy. It's very powerful.
So we're not only looking back on the life that we've just had in the summer, we're looking forward to the life we're about to have during the winter, and hoping it's not going to be a tragic winter.
I want snow.
Because that's when a lot of people die. Not so much in winter time, but towards spring. If you can make it through the winter, then the trouble came at springtime, the sort of the 2 or 3 months before the spring equinox, before life starts budding back. Because you've got a lot of work to do, so you need a lot of energy to get that ball rolling again.
Yeah.
And bring forth the food, as it were. But this balance now that we're in of the 31st of October is that transitional period. So the veil, that's where it is. It is thin, because we're passing over from one aspect to the next aspect. One season to the next season.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of other things to say, and I'm waiting for other people to unmute the mic and jump in, but no one seems to be jumping
Come
in.
on, people. What are you doing?
If anybody else has got out to say, speak now.
Now is the time.
Colin normally has something good to
You
say.
do such a good job, the pair of you. It's just nice to sit here and listen. I think I was sort of aware of Halloween when I was growing up, but it wasn't a thing at all like it is now. Excuse me. And so it didn't kind of, like you said, Angie, we had bonfire night, and that was sort of the big thing of that week, if you like. Sorry, excuse me, I got a bit hoarse. I've just had a sneezing fit. But when my children came along, it was a very different story, and I didn't like them going out trick or treating. I didn't take them out very much myself. I just didn't like it. It just didn't feel right, and it just felt very like I think you said, Andy. It was the commercialization that came over from the States, really.
Yeah.
And I think it's just got bigger and bigger, that commercialization. It's like the real, what we might think it is lost on most people. It's just a time to dress up, to go and knock on doors, get sugar rushes,
get free sweets. Yeah.
Yeah. I can remember my youngest coming home one day. She was obviously old enough to go out without me. She'd gone out with some school friends, and they came back with quite a lot of money between them. And I'm like, what?
Wow.
What's this all about?
Yeah. Well,
sorry, Angie. It's not until I sort of got more into the witchcraft and the understanding of it, as you've been talking about tonight, that it's sort of made sense to me, really, and it's had a kind of a reason for being.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I can't remember. It might have been Henry's nan. So it would have been my ex-mother-in-law. She didn't like it. So it's begging.
Yeah.
Not going around begging. Not that but when I would talk to her about these things, because I took Henry, I think, twice trick or treating, and she was like, "Oh no, I don't like it. It's begging." So it's because we didn't grow up with it. We did not grow up with trick or treating and Halloween.
And I actually used that same word. I did use that word with probably my youngest, because she's a little bit younger than the other two. But I certainly had that feeling, and that's why I didn't want to partake. I actually said, it feels like begging, and it doesn't feel right. So, there's that expectation that, I flipping done it myself. I've gone out and bought all the sweets, and since I've had Merlin, I've not really wanted people knocking on the door, because it just upsets him when the doorbell's currently, I haven't got a bell now, but when people are constantly knocking on the door or whatever. So
yeah,
in the past, I've just put bowls of sweets outside, and it's like, help yourself. But you know what happens? The first lot that come around, they you put that on. So now I do nothing. I just go, no, I just don't want anything to do with this. Not in the way that your average person knocking on the door wants anything to do with. So if that's bar humbug, well, it's bar humbug, but that's how I feel about it.
Well, we don't answer the door, because we're usually doing ritual at Samhain. So
of course,
we're not going to be answering the door to beggars.
Exactly.
I might put something stinky at the threshold this year, actually, so they take one sniff and go, "Oh, what's that?" and go away. Bit of garlic, bit of asafoetida, bit of salt, and off we go.
It did occur to me when you said about putting an offering out. I was thinking, I could put some bread and milk out then at the front door, and then all the trick-or-treaters would think, "Oh, what's this all about?"
You can put a little sign above it saying, "Don't touch this, it's for spirits."
Isn't that the point, though? Trick or treat? Are you going to get a trick? Is it going to be something to fool you, or something not nice, or is it going to be a treat?
Yeah.
It always makes me chuckle that no one ever seems to put out tricks. Everyone gets treats.
Yes.
I think the people knocking on the door give you that choice, don't they? So they knock on the door and they go trick or treat. So it's either we give them a treat or they trick us. And we've had the odd egg lobbed at the window in the past.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And that's not answering the door. I got that. Yeah.
Wow.
Isn't there a night for being mischievous? I'm sure I've got something in the back of my mind with you saying that, Val. That isn't there a night where people can go out and be mischievous?
That might be Punky Night. That's the night before Samhain. Because to punk someone is to play a trick on them. So it could be Punky Night, which is the 30th.
Never knew that.
I quite like it because it's got the word punk in it. Yeah, so Punky Night. I think it's just the one night before Samhain. I don't think, and then the whole thing, the whole time has the umbrella of Hallow Mass over it, which is quite nice.
Say that again. It has got what in it?
Is that the umbrella of this whole time at the end of October, beginning of November? Because don't forget, you've also got Remembrance Day, all these things that honour the dead, yeah, which are all around this time, end of October, beginning of November. So spanning across all of those is what they call Hallow Mass.
Hallow Mass?
Yep.
I've never heard that one like that. No.
Yeah. All my research that I've been doing, what I was doing for the moon calendar, which didn't work out, and then Litmus come along and said, "Oh yeah, it's because the moon doesn't work that way, but the sun does." I'm like, "Oh, that makes sense." So I've done all this research on all these different times throughout the wheel of the year, where all these different energies are, spewing out all over the place, if you like. Yeah, and that's one of them. The umbrella for the end of October, beginning of November is Hallow Mass, which I really like because it's a hallowed time of honouring the dead.
Yeah. In All Hallows.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
And then this is Hallow Mass, and then it's Christmas.
Lots of masses everywhere. They're massing. It's those naughty pagans, they're massing again. Love it.
Well, it's 7:10.
Oh.
Angie, do you want to wrap it up with a few words so we can stop the recording and then we can have a bit of a chat afterwards?
Don't have any last words.
Halloween wisdom. Samhain wisdom.
Yes, I'm just going to reiterate those two questions to people. So, does Halloween honour or dishonour Samhain as our ancestors experienced it? And question to all those Halloween celebrators, yeah? Do you actually know what you are doing when you place threshold warding lights at the threshold? There you go.